This is the evaluation for React, and I'm just going to go through the bullet points and discuss each one using this here app that I've created, a to-do list. So I created this using the Create React App CLI using NPM or NPX, and I named it React Eval. So basically what I've done was took out all the boilerplate stuff and then continued on with what was left here. And I created a to-do list app. So I'll show you the app and what it does first, and then we'll go over each points. So first thing is it's able to take a new task and what day you did it, and then attach a reminder to it. We can save it. And then here you have your new task with a reminder. You double click it, the reminder goes away. Refresh the page, it stays there. Close it, refresh the page, it still stays there. Close it. Places that with some add to dos. If you add a new task, form, so all you see are the tasks. If you click on about, it takes you to the about page. Go back, it brings you back to your form page, and here you can add new forms. And that's it. And it's what we're doing is accessing the server. Here, I made a server on port 5000 using JSON server. It did it created this db.json, and this is where it's storing all the data. Okay, so back to the app. So we're using snippets and components right here. These are my components. Each one is my about, add task component, my button component, footer, header, to do, and to do's. And those are all being imported into either each other or into the main application here. So the routing I've done here in the main application, I've included browser, router, routes, and routes from React DOM. They did make some changes, so routes replaces switch if you don't know, and in the route element component, you have to change. This used to be component, it's now element. You can use element now. That'll get your paths working. If you're going to use a home path, it needs to be exact, otherwise it'll open up every time you hit a path that has a slash mark on it. Okay, so how React works is it uses a virtual DOM, which is like React's local simplified copy of the HTML DOM, and it allows React to do its computations and DOM operations without using the actual DOM, which could be slow, and also it can be very browser specific. So it just allows React to do its computations quicker, and because the regular DOM is where it's like HTML text, and it's like the DOM is like a memory representation of that text. So each one of those elements is a node, and it's pretty much based on like a tree structure. So it can be very large and it can be very hard to search through. React will do all that stuff in its virtual actual representation of the DOM and then make it look like how you want it. So render data using components. I've got so I'm making these calls to my server, which is pulling that data, which is returning this data. So this is fetching a to-do. And in this fetch to-do, we're just fetching the data and then making a function that'll fetch the data, and then we're using it in the use effect, which is a hook, which allows you to use the lifecycle methods. So like component did load or component did update. This is essentially what we're using it instead to stop it from either re-rendering or making it render whenever we call another object. So you can put the other object that you want it to render when you call right here. Otherwise you leave this blank and it only call this on open, like or on mount. And so what we got it doing is when the page loads, we have get to dos, which will run, which is going to call our fetch to dos to get the info. And then it's going to set our show add to dos to whatever we're pulling from the data. And this is the use state. This is also a webhook now that's used to use state. You can also use reducers, um, things like that. The use reducers is kind of a Redux replacement. You can use it like Redux, but yeah, the hooks I think is the way to go. Everything's functional based programming now, so there's not going to be any class components in here. It's all function based components. Oh, let's see. Comes into the props, pass data, control component state. That's what I was explaining what this is right here, this use state. So this is the component and this is how you set the state. So you use this is how you set the state when it's first initiated, and then this is how you change the state, and this is the object. Current state. Able to control component state. Able to respond to events like click, touch, change. That's what this is. So you're seeing when I'm typing, saving, show you where that's all located at add task. So we have our on submit, prevent default. This is our clearing our form whenever it's done. And then here you see set text to e-target value, which is the typing. Set day, we're setting the state of each one to use a letter, so updating the state with the letter. And same thing with the check mark, so that it knows if it's checked, it's updating the state of reminder to checked. Component lifecycle, that's what I was explaining with the use effect. Use effect essentially takes place of life cycles, and you can use this to mount or update or any of those life cycles within here. Everything is functional. This is all functional based programming. I didn't use any classes in this application. It's triggered by components. We already see that. Lifecycle, functional component. So like, as you can see my app, I have different containers that are containing, so my to-dos contain my to-do, and then my form has button and inputs components. So third-party React packages. That's what in my JSON, this is all JSON server. I don't know. Ajax APIs. Okay, so APIs, like I said, this is normally I would take my API calls right here and put them in an API folder, but since it's just a smaller demonstration app, I just put it all in my app.js. And so I'm doing some fetches to get the information here. Here's all of them individual. This is where we're adding. This is where we're calling a toggle. So we're getting the state. We're saying um, we want to update the to do. So we got to update it in the database so that when we refresh our app, it still says reminded instead of it just being locally on the website. So we're doing an update to the data, and we're just saying to switch the toggle reminder to either true or false. That's how we call for delete. And that is React app. That is React.